Hello everybody, my name is Olesia Salam. Welcome to my online lesson. So are you ready? Let's start then. Today we will make a world famous cake red velvet. I prefer to add a layer of raspberry confit and I prefer it naked style so we can see beautiful red layers of our cake. First, let's preheat our oven to 180 degrees. All the ingredients for the sponge should be at room temperature. Add eggs, salt and sugar to the bowl. Also add the butter. I'm using soft butter. I melt the butter impulsively in the microwave in defrost mode to not completely melt. First, mix it in low speed with a whisk. After the ingredients are mixed together, we increase the speed. On my mixer, the maximum speed is 6. I use 4 speed to make a sponge. The quality of the ingredients we will use also affects the quality of our cake. For example, the quality of the sugar we use is very important. There is a very simple test to check the quality. In 100 ml water at room temperature, add 2 teaspoons of sugar. Stir if within 6 minutes the sugar is completely dissolved and the water remains clear without sediment. We can say that the sugar is high quality. If the water is cloudy and there is a sediment, it's better not to use sugar. Back to our sponge. Now we will add yogurt, and red food coloring. I use a powdered one. Continue to beat at a slow speed. Do not forget to scrape off the unmixed pieces on the edge of the bowl. It's better to use 82% fat butter. It contains less water. Now, in a different container, let's add the sifted flour, baking soda, baking powder and cacao powder. Pay attention to the fact that the cacao powder should be light color. Dark color cacao will make the color of our sponge not bright enough. I prefer the robust red Cameroon cacao powder from the Van Houten brand, which you can also find in Turkey. Add the dry ingredients to the bowl and mix at low speed. After there is no flour left on the surface, increase the speed. I work exclusively with Soke brand flour. This is a very popular brand in Turkey. We will not interfere for a long time. As soon as our sponge dough becomes homogeneous, without flour or cacao particles, you can turn off the mixer. Do not forget to check the edges of the bowl. Let's put on a pan a silicone mat. I prefer to bake sponge in a stainless steel mold. Mine is 16 cm. You need to wrap the bottom with foil so that the dough will not leak. You can also use split sponge cake molds instead of the stainless steel mold. We spread our sponge dough in the mold with light movements. No need to press hard. Here I should note that each oven may be different from each other. While some ovens require 118 degrees, some ovens may need 160 degrees. Accordingly, the cooking time can vary from 30 minutes to 50 minutes. Let's place our sponge to the oven we preheated. I used the top-bottom mount. While the sponge cake is in the oven, we can proceed to the preparation of raspberry confit. Depending on the season, you can use fresh or frozen raspberries. I freeze fresh raspberries myself. If you will use frozen one, don't forget to defrost it before using. So let's add the raspberries to the saucepan and mash them lightly with spatula. In another cup, mix the sugar and pectin. Pectin is a type of gelling agent. Because of its gel-forming properties, it's widely used in the manufacture of jams and jellies. So let's add our sugar and pectin to the raspberry. Do it lightly with small moves. After that, mix it well. Now we put our saucepan to the stove. Cook over medium heat, stirring occasionally. When the raspberries starts boiling, remove from the heat and put it to another bowl for stabilization. Do not leave the raspberries in the saucepan. So now let's go back to our sponge. During the first 25-30 minutes, do not open the oven in any case. After 30 minutes, you can check the readiness of the sponge with a toothpick. Stick it in the sponge and take it out. If the toothpick is dry, then the sponge cake is ready. If not, then leave the sponge cake to bake further. After our sponge is baked, leave it cool. We don't take it out from the mold. When it cools, carefully run the knife along the edges and remove sponge out of the mold. Do not forget to remove the foil. Now we need to cut our sponge into 3 parts. I recommend you after baking to wrap the cool sponge with a wrap and leave it in the refrigerator for at least 6 hours. After that it will be easy to work with. Don't forget to cut off the top. Let's start the preparation of the cream cheese. Cream cheese can be made with heavy cream or butter. I prefer butter as it's more stable. Add the powdered sugar and melted butter to the bowl of our mixer. To start, whisk at low speed and gradually increase. Stir for about 2 minutes. After we have mixed it well, let's add some cheese. The cheese should be cold. I prefer to use Metro Chef's signature Labne cheese. Excellent quality and taste. We put our bowl back in the mixer and mix first at low speed and gradually move on whipping at high speed. Usually, butter at room temperature and powdered sugar are whipped until white, but I'm doing it this way to save us some time. Beat until smooth and stable. As you can see, our cream cheese are getting more lighter color and it's like very close to white. Be sure to check whether there isn't any unmixed pieces of butter on the bottom and on the sides of the bowl. So now let's put the cream in a pastry bag. You can fill it completely or half, as you like. It's time to complete our cake, so I will use the same mold I've used to bake our sponge. Stir the acetate film around the edge of our mold. Spread the first layer of sponge cake. Now squeeze the cream out of the bag continuously along the edges. We need to create a border so that our raspberry filling does not leak. In the center, we spread half of our raspberry confit on the sponge. Please note that the cream around should be higher than the raspberry layer. On top of the raspberry layer, apply the cream cheese evenly. Spread the second sponge cake and repeat the steps with the cream and raspberry confit. Put the last layer of sponge cake on the top. Cover the top with wrap and leave our cake to rest in the refrigerator for at least 6 hours, overnight perfectly. The remaining cream cheese put in the refrigerator too. Why we are putting the cake in the refrigerator? To stabilize the filling. Take our cake out of the refrigerator, remove the mold and remove the tape. Apply the remaining cream on the top and use the spatula to level its surface. Then we align the cake around the edges, remove the remaining cream. Gently remove the excess cream on the top. In any case, do not push too hard. So now we can transfer our cake from the stand. So now we can move on the decoration. It's necessary to wash and dry the berries well before decoration. If you want, instead of the currants, you can add other fruit, chocolates, cookies and other edible decor. I choose red currant as it's combined perfectly in color with our cake. Also, as a decoration, I use edible gold leaves, but it's better to cover the berries with a natural gel before. So, and now the best part of our lesson is eating delicious cake, so enjoy your cake.